all of you to Abuja, the very essence of our national unity. Or let me also say, welcome to the mysterious, the beautiful, the wild, and the free world of the ocean. The next 2 days, sir. Hello, sir. Thank you. The next 2 days will be one that defines the future of our continent, the future of our economy, as we get set to harness what we can call Africa's blue economy. So on behalf of the International Maritime Organization, the Association of African Maritime Administrations, and the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, I welcome you to the 3rd AAMA Annual Conference, focused on sustainable use of Africa's oceans and seas. The next 2 days will focus on diversifying our economies beyond land-based activities into the coastlines, delivering transformational investment packages that builds Africa's capacity for climate-resilient ocean economies. So as I welcome all of you, the next 2 days we shall be sailing and navigating the African economy. But let me welcome a man that truly believes that the ocean can feed our people, that the ocean can transfer prosperity onto our people. The very hard-working and visionary Director General and CEO of NIMASA. Please join us. I welcome here Dr. Dakuku Adol-Peterside as he steps forward to do a welcome address. Please, can we put our hands together for the Director General, please? As he steps forward here, I'm also here, not here alone. Joyce Daniel will be here with me, and you'll be seeing her on the microphone. I welcome you.
Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Host Minister, the Honorable Minister of Transportation, members of the National Assembly, representative of the Secretary General of IMO, honorable ministers in our midst, the Chairman of the Governing Board of NIMASA, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, distinguished delegates from 34 countries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without forgetting the Chief of Naval Staff, who is here in his own person and as representative of the Minister of Defense, my brothers and sisters. It is my pleasure and that of the entire maritime community in Nigeria to welcome you all to Abuja, the scenic capital city of Nigeria. We consider it a privilege to host this important conference that coalesces Africa's maritime elite, the men and women who determine standards, when, how, what, and who to sail on the high seas, the juggler of peace, wealth, and security. I refer to the regulators, policy implementers, and stakeholders, the crème de la crème of Africa's maritime space, who work together in a bubble of ideas and innovation for our continent. They chart the seas and oceans to optimize their benefits for the development of our people. Nigeria has waited with bated breath for this day and year to host this important gathering. We are particularly delighted that this conference, the third in this series, after the first in Mombasa, Kenya, and the second in Sant in South Africa, is holding anchor here on our shores. Nigeria's place in the maritime world is not only deserved, it is common knowledge. It is special in the maritime community in Africa for a number of reasons. Nigeria accounts for over 60% of total seaborne traffic in volume and value in West and Central Africa region. As the 6th largest OPEC exporting country, we contribute significantly to the global energy supply and wet cargo traffic. Our country's signature adorns all continental maritime initiatives and charters that seek to promote the development of Africa. We are geostrategically located as a major littoral state in the Gulf of Guinea. By all estimation, we're a leader, high on the crest of maritime nations, determined to advance African maritime prosperity. So hosting a conference of the continent's maritime administrators is overdue. It is no coincidence that this conference of maritime administrators and stakeholders is coming 2 years after African leaders, through the African Union, subscribed to 7 key aspirations encapsulated in the Agenda 2063 at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And 3 years after the adoption of African Integrated Maritime Strategy, AIMS 250. Only recently, to further reinforce the critical role maritime can play in the development of Africa, the African Union Special Summit of Heads of Government on Maritime Security, Safety and Development in Lome, Togo, 15th October, aligned with us. Nigeria was represented in that occasion by our Vice President. And it's also no coincidence that as Africa meets today, it is the Vice President that is leading the way. In that conference in Lome, Africa adopted a charter on maritime security, safety, and development aimed at making Africa's maritime space the key driver of the continent's socio-economic development. That document was endorsed by 43 of 54 African nations. The Association of African Maritime Administrators, inspired by the African Union Maritime Transport Charter, provides us, as stakeholders in the maritime sector, a platform to give effect to the various charters adopted by our heads of government, whether M250, Agenda 2063, or the Lome Charter. AAMA is also a veritable continental institutional framework for peer review to discuss maritime governance in our continent, develop an implementation framework for a pan-African maritime policy and strategy, take leadership in controlling our continent's maritime domain, and promote intra-African partnership to address our peculiar maritime challenges. We have a collective responsibility to promote new awareness and appreciation of the inevitable role maritime transport and the blue economy can play as an enabler of the economic development of our continent. Africa is looking up to this conference, and we cannot afford to disappoint our people. At this juncture, it is time to give thanks. Let me particularly appreciate the enormous support we receive from the International Maritime Organization in hosting this conference. IMO provided both intellectual and financial resources towards the successful organization of this conference. Special gratitude to somebody I call my brother, the interim chairman and host secretariat of AAMA. The interim chairman of AAMA is here in person. He came in this morning. Please, can you just stand up for special recognition? He's the CEO of the South African Maritime Agency, SAMSA. Special thanks to our resourceful, dynamic, humble, and yet focused Minister of Transportation, the Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi, for his unflinching support, his guidance, and his leadership. I am optimistic that the Abuja conference will sail to its shore. It will mark the beginning of concerted cooperative and collaborative efforts at tackling Africa's maritime administration challenges, as well as tapping into our limitless opportunities. Africa's waterways will be better at the end of this conference than it was at the beginning. Let me also pay special gratitude to our two allies, our two partners, Nigerian Ports Authority and Nigerian Shippers Council, for the various roles they played towards the successful hosting of this conference. I must confess, without their support, it's likely that we would not have had this conference at this time in the manner it is packaged. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, the Honorable Speaker, it is time to set sail. You are all welcome on board.